All right, let's set up the pitch field on the D-Lev Theremin. First, you want to go to the system page, and if you haven't done this before, you need to load the system preset or profile rather, that you want to use. If you're using a D-Lev kit, they come from the factory with my profile in slot 0 and slot 2. In slot 1, you have more of an analog type Theremin response, and that probably interests most people. So if that's you, you should load 1, on the system page you should turn the load knob to 1 and the store knob to 0, and then press store once, and you can see it blinking here. That means a write is pending, and when you press it again, the write actually happens. So you can abort the write if you want to by turning any knob or pressing any knob. Anyway, so now what we've done is taken profile 1 that was in slot 1 and stored it to profile slot 0. So every time the D-Lev powers up, it'll power up with this system preset or profile. All right, so let's now what this profile does is it has a very sensitive pitch field. It's much more sensitive than I play with, and it has reverse volume, which is what most Theremins do. And I don't play it that way either, but most people do. So this profile is for you, probably. All right, so we'll go to the P field page, which is 2 pages back from the system page. So what we're going to do here is adjust 3 different knobs. We're going to adjust PCAL, the SENS, the Sense knob, and the OFS Plus knob. So this is the PCAL knob on this page, this is the Sense knob, and this is the Offset Plus knob. Right. So PCAL is just like the null control on an analog Theremin. It moves, it expands and contracts mostly the far field, and the midfield somewhat, and the near field very little. So what we want to do is adjust PCAL until the near field and far field do the same response. And I think it helps to turn off the audio, because I've seen analog Theremin well, they don't have anything to go on. It's not, I'm not blaming anybody or anything. It's just all they have to go by is pitch and certain hand gestures that they use. And the field setup is just a mechanical thing. It isn't musical at all. And I think musical aspects like hearing the tone and using musical hand gestures are actually detrimental. You want it to be as mechanical as possible. The musical stuff can come in later, but when you're setting up the field, you just want repeatability. You don't want anything else. You don't want to be adapting to it. You want it to adapt to you so you get the fields right. So let's see what the near field sensitivity is right now. So I'm putting my hand just about on the plate. You can see me touching it here. And I'm watching the tuner. And I just go to a convenient LED on the outer ring, I guess, that's with my hand slightly away from the plate. And I open and close my hand. So you can see that it's a little over half an octave. So maybe we want a little more sensitive than that. I think, I don't know exactly, but I think most analog Theremins will not hear. Here they're a lot tighter than that, but I mean in general, like in the playing area out in the middle, they're more like, you know, 2/3 of an octave or something. So I'm increasing sensitivity here. I'm very close to the plate, maybe 82. And that's just for this Theremin. Yours might be different, maybe 81. All right. So we're getting from this LED here over to this LED here, and that's 2/3 of an octave, or 8 half steps, or semitones, or whatever you want to call it. So we've got the sensitivity kind of set up right here for the near field. And now we'll go back out here to the far field. I'm pulling my hand back to my body, and I'm not moving my body. I'm just pulling my hand back, and it's still pointed at the plate, and I'm opening and closing my hand here. Right. Let me really mess up pCal. I'm going to lower it a lot so you can see what it does. So you can see that it's way too sensitive out here in the far field. So that's 17, here's 23. That's maybe too sensitive, 25 or 6, here's 26. It's not sensitive enough. Maybe 24. You can see the stand rocking back and forth on the tuner. All right, that's pretty good. So the pCal now is 24, the sensitivity is 81, and we can check the field in various places. Like I'll check it here again, that looks good. I'll check it here. You can just do this by octaves if you want. That's kind of handy, right? Start on the same LED. So I think pCal's still a little low. I'm gonna make it 26. It's good. I think sometimes you want the far field to be a little less sensitive, just because when it's more sensitive, it's hard to control. If it just gets a little less sensitive right out here at your body, where you're probably not going to be playing anyway much, it's just safer, I think. All right. So now we can look at this point, you could, if you wanted to, play your hand gestures, like if if this is an octave for you or whatever. See, it's almost an octave. You could adjust sensitivity to adapt to your octave hand motion, and you should do that at this point. All right, now we're going to position the field. We can move the entire field in or out, towards or away from the antenna, and we do that with the OFS plus knob. So I'm going to put my hand here, and I'm looking on the tuner for A440. So this is A right here, this LED that's on right now, and this 4 means we're in the 4th octave. And that's not MIDI. MIDI I think is 3 for A440. It's weird. Anyway, but this is standard kind of notation, A440. A4 is A440. So here's my hand. You can see that it's about maybe 10 centimeters away from the plate, and that's okay with me, I guess. I mean, this is the mid of where I'd be playing. I'd be playing some things closer. I'd be playing some things farther away. Maybe I'd want it a little closer. So to make it a little closer, I put my hand where I want A440 to be, and I adjust the offset plus knob. And here I'm having to lower it. All right. So now A440 is right there. That's maybe about, I don't know, 80 centimeters, something, 8 centimeters. And then the offset plus, you probably want to play different voices and kind of see, where the field is placed pitch-wise for the various voice presets, because they can have octave offsets inside of them, and that plays into the whole thing too, in terms of like where you position the field. It's more like how the presets were created, and the way you'd like to play too. I would say set it up so that you're playing as close to the plate as possible without the danger of hitting it, because you don't want to disturb the whole physical setup and make it rock or anything. But the closer you play to the antenna, the more control you'll have, and the less the environmental noise and environmental capacitance will be a problem. When you're playing way back here, your body can move just ever so slightly, and it throws everything off. Your sensitivity goes off, and you're just much better playing close to the plate. So now let's save it. We go back to the system page and press store, and then press it again. So now we've got the pitch field set up. And what does it sound like? That seems okay. Maybe it's a little too close to the plate, but you can play with that later. All right, let's go into the volume.